Sorry for the delay. I got a challenge with OBS, but now I think I'm good to go. Let me do one more check just to make sure everything is moving well. So yeah, today I'll be studying more about FastAPI and specifically body fields. Okay. So let me adjust one more setting real quick. All right, let's move on. So I'll start by reading this paragraph. My distractions seem too many. Okay, and it says the same way you can declare additional validation and metadata in the path operation function, in path operation function parameters with query, path, and body, you can declare validation and metadata inside of Pydantic models using Pydantic's field. So again, if you didn't understand what a path operation function is, okay, and what query, path, and body are, you'll need to watch my previous streams, okay, where we looked at this in detail. Okay, so I'll go ahead and read this. So they're saying the same way we declared additional validation and metadata in path operation function parameters with query, path, and body, we can declare validation and metadata inside of Pydantic models using field, okay? And of course, I would expect to have this. So you're saying the first step is import field. Saying first you have to import it from Pydantic, import base model and field, okay? Then we have an item, which is a Pydantic base model. We have name, a string, a description, which is none, str or none. But this time we're seeing the default value, okay? Instead of saying equals to none, they're saying equals to field, and the default is none. Okay, we know that you can do this with query, and then they're adding metadata. For example, we have the title, which is good for documentation, and then the maximum length, that it can't go beyond 300 characters, which is good. Then you have price, which is a float, and it's equals to this field, which should be greater than 0. This is the minimum, and has a description. And then tax is or a float or none, and by default it's none. And we know that this makes it optional. So let's continue. Yeah, I think that's the point. All they wanted us to know is that we first import. Okay. So you're saying notice that this is a warning saying notice that field is imported directly from Pydantic, not from FastAPI, as are all the rest query, path, and body. Okay. So field is imported from Pydantic. Yeah, good to note about that. So yeah, just normal validation. I don't think there's anything really strange or only about this. It's something that I expected based on what I've read so far in the documentation. So I'll go back to read about declaring model attributes. Here they say you can use field with model attributes. Okay, and we have, of course, they're highlighting this section, but we have basically already read about it from this, because here they were emphasizing importing field, okay, and now here they're emphasizing using field, okay, which you have seen that description, the value is equals to field, and with field we can add metadata. For example, we have default value being none, the title being the string, and then the maximum length being 300. And then after that is of course price, float, field, more metadata for the price, meaning the data should be greater than or equals to 0, and then a description. Yeah, and that's it. So if we go down, it's saying field works the same way as query, path, body, and body. It has all the same parameters. Yeah, and that's why I'm not going to test this, because of course I expect it to behave in the same way. And I like how they've built this, because ideally the flow is pretty much the same. So we have here a note on technical details. They're saying actually query, path, and others, you'll see next create objects of subclasses of a common param class, which itself is a subclass of Pydantic's field info class. And Pydantic's field returns an instance of field info as well. Yeah, so it's just inheritance being played around with. The saying body also returns objects of a subclass of field info directly, and others you will see later that are subclasses of the body class. Remember that when you import query, path, and others from FastAPI, those are actually functions that return special classes. Okay, so query, path, and body are simply functions that return special classes, and we have I now know that query, path simply inherit from param, which also is a subclass of field info, and that field simply an instance of, field is an instance of field info. So I'll go ahead and read the tip. Just saying, notice how each model's attribute with a type, default value, and field has the same structure as a path operation functions parameter with field instead of path, query, and body. Okay, so every model's attribute and with a type, default value, and field has the same structure as a path operations function parameter. Yeah, that's true. The structure is the same. So if we look at for example field, okay, the structure is the same. Okay, taking a default value, taking a title, taking in max length, okay, taking in something like greater than or equal, description, and so on and so forth. Then I can move on. They're saying adding extra information. You can declare extra information in field, query, and body etc, and it will be included in the generated JSON schema. You will learn more about adding extra information later in the docs when learning to declare examples. Okay, interesting. So we can add more information which can be added to the JSON schema. I think this is good to know. Okay, so yeah, let's wait to see that in future. So you're saying warning, extra keys passed to field will also be present in the resulting OpenAPI schema for your application, as these keys may not necessarily be part of the OpenAPI specification. Some OpenAPI tools, for example, the OpenAPI validator may not work with your generated schema. Okay, this is good to know. Okay, this is good to know. But I guess we shall even, I'm sure they're going to emphasize this ahead, because I like how these guys have been specifically like repeating concepts again and again. So they're saying, recap, you can use Pydantic's field to declare extra validations and metadata for model attributes. You can also use the extra keyword arguments to pass additional JSON schema metadata. Yeah, so ideally, field, query, body, path do the same thing, okay? Adding extra validation and metadata, okay? The only difference is that where you import from, okay? Field comes from typing, okay? If from Pydantic, I think. Is from Pydantic? Yes, from Pydantic. Look at me forgetting quickly. Let me first verify this. They actually mentioned it. Yes, comes from Pydantic, okay? But these others, okay? Query, path, body from FastAPI. That's the difference. And field can be used to add extra data and validations to these attributes in a Pydantic model. For example, if I wanted to add validation for tax, you can say field equals to, tax equals to field, and I say should be greater than or equals to 0. Okay, as simple as that. And this could be enough for my use case. Okay, this can be enough for my use case, and I don't need to do this for everything. Okay, so I will move on to the next topic. Okay, so if you look at the title, it said fields and nested models. So we're done with fields. It's pretty simple to understand. Okay, adding validation and metadata to a Pydantic model. Okay, how do you create a Pydantic model? By inheriting from base model. So let's go on to the next, which is body nested models. We'll not look at nested models. And of course, now you may be wondering, oh, this guy is now looking at more than one thing today. Yeah, I'm doing this because the previous one, this is was very short. Okay, and of course in future I'll do the same thing. Okay, yeah, so I want to look at it, and then yeah, we shall keep on moving like so until soon. Yeah, we'll be there step by step, baby steps. Okay, so yeah, let me look at this and learn what this is all about. So they're saying with FastAPI, you can define, validate, document, and use arbitrarily deeply nested models thanks to Pydantic. And of course, the concept of nesting, I'm sure is not new to us as software engineers. When we're beginning programming, we know about nested loops, we know about nested classes, we know about nesting functions, okay? Meaning something inside another. That is what nesting is all about, okay? So if they say nested models, simply means a model inside the model inside the model, and so on, okay? And they said deeply, meaning there could be more than 2 levels of nestings. So let's I'll continue reading, and they say list fields. So they're saying you can define an attribute to be a subtype. For example, a Python list. Okay, so let's look at what they are doing. Of course, we're now used to this. The import FastAPI from FastAPI, base model from Pydantic. They create an instance of FastAPI. Then we have a Pydantic base model called item. Okay, and then what they're showing, of course, we have a name, which is a string, a description, which is a string, or none, and a default value of none. We have a price, which is a float and is required, tax, which is a float or none, but the default value is none. Then we have tags, which is a list, okay, and whose default value is an actual empty Python list. And this is what they mean by saying you can define an attribute to be a subtype. Okay, so tags is a subtype list. Okay, and of course they say app.put item ID, which is the path parameter, can now be injected into this variable here, and then item can be item. So item becomes, guess, from what we have seen, a body, request body parameter. So take note of that, guys. Do not forget that any Pydantic base model becomes automatically a request body parameter. So, but of course, we have looked at that before, but the point here is for us to know that we can define an attribute to be a subtype. And I think they must have shown this earlier, but without explaining it. But I'm sure maybe I could have seen something like this. But let me continue. So they're saying this will make tags to be a list, although it doesn't declare the type of the elements of the list. Yeah, so it is a list without telling us what is going to be inside this list. Yeah, we actually had something like a list of strings somewhere in the past streams. So they're saying, and of course, since we did this, there's no need to repeat it, but yeah, it's pretty obvious. If you need me to illustrate it, yeah, I can. So they say list fields with type parameter. They say Python has a specific way to declare lists with internal types or type parameters. So they're saying import typings lists. They're saying in Python 3.9 and above, you can use the standard list to declare these type annotations as we'll see below. But in version 3.9, 3.6 and above, excuse me, they're saying in Python version 3.9, 3.6 and above, you first need to import lists from standard Python's typing module, okay, which is this, okay. They're importing list from typing, and of course they have one more thing called union. And then when you come here, okay, they're saying tags, okay, is a list of strings. Okay, so again, if you want to understand these annotations deeply, watch the first live stream. Okay, tags is a list of strings and its default value is a Python list. As simple as that. Okay, so yeah, then we continue. They're saying declare a list with a type parameter. To declare types that have type parameters, internal types like list, dict, tuple, okay, if you're in a Python version lower than 3.9, import the equivalent from typing module, okay? In other words, if you're using Python 3.9 and above, you don't need to import them from typing module, okay? You can simply use list, dict, and tuple, okay? If you notice, these which are already, that come with Python, which are internal types, have lowercase letters for the first characters. But those that come from the typing module have an uppercase. Like you find, if you look at this one, it's uppercase or capital. So it says pass the internal types as type parameters using square brackets. Okay, like that. Then you put a type inside. So they're saying in Python 3.9 it would be my list is the variable, okay, that you want to annotate. Then the annotation will be list, which is now an internal type. Then inside str, meaning my list is a list of strings. Then they're saying in versions of Python 3.9 it would be from typing import list. Okay, notice from the list from typing has uppercase or capital L at the beginning. Okay, and this one. So this and this have the same meaning, but of course the first one makes it easier because you have one more less line of code, and probably you don't need to press your caps lock in some cases. Yeah, so I think this sounds good. Let's continue and see what they say. They say that's all standard Python syntax for type declarations. Use that same standard syntax for model attributes with internal types. Okay. So in our example, we can make tags to be specifically a list of strings. Okay. So this, okay. So to this line of code which they've highlighted, they've just only added str. If you look up here, where is it? Right here. They're saying just a list, okay? Could be a list of anything, a list of strings, and integers, floats, mixed with booleans, okay? Anything, okay? But here you're just now being specific. That's a list of strings, which is a good thing. Okay, so I'll scroll back to where I was, which is this, okay? So the first thing they told us, the first internal type trying to explain is a list, okay? A list. Then next up, they want to explain a set types. They're saying but then we think about it and realize that tags shouldn't repeat. They would probably be unique strings. Yeah, tags should be actually unique. And Python has a special data type for sets of unique items called a set. We know that a set does not allow duplicates. They're saying then we declare tags as a set of strings. So if you come here, we have the same thing, importing FastAPI from FastAPI base model from Pydantic, an instance of FastAPI. We have a Pydantic base model, and what we're interested in is this line, okay, where they're saying tags is a set of strings, and the default value is they're initializing it with an empty set. Yeah, so this is cool. This is really cool. Okay. So they're saying with this, even if you receive a request to duplicate data, it will be converted to a set of unique items. This is what I like about FastAPI, that ability to convert between types. Okay, so this makes work really easy. So if you don't want to have duplicates, yeah, you'll have happy time. So you're saying, and whenever you output that data, even if the source had duplicates, it will be output as a set of unique items. Okay, that's good, and it will be annotated and documented accordingly too. All right, let's see this. I want to see this. I'm curious to see the documentation of this. So I paste and save. I don't know if the server was already running. Let's try FastAPI run dev. I hope that's the command, if I've not forgotten. What's the command, guys? They're saying, okay, it was starting, but searching for okay, there it is. Wow, looks like sometimes when you're learning, you forget simple basic things. Okay. Let me now items. Okay, we have now items here. I'll say slash items slash 40. Okay. They're saying method not allowed. This is a put. Okay. So let me change it to a get. Okay. Because I'll not be able to demonstrate. Method not allowed. Why is it still saying method not allowed? Okay. Because this now becomes a get request. I hope I'm not running something else. But anyway, instead of doing this and debugging, I want going to do debugging. Let me do this. Let's go to the documentation. Okay, I'll come back to this later. Let's go to the docs. So we see what we want to see. Okay, check this. So it's showing put. Okay, if I do this, okay, and I save, I hope we are running the right application. Let me check something here. And then I save. Okay, you see it's showing put, which means I could be running the wrong server right here. Check the number of shells. It's the same that is open. Quickly Google run FastAPI project. Looks like I'm even forgetting basics. And that is why I think I should always kill the project. Okay. Should always kill the project and run it so that I don't forget the commands. Okay. Because clearly, like now you see here, I've let's do this. Okay. It's supposed to be FastAPI. Because I'm seeing from the internet what I've just googled, it's dev main.py. Okay, let's now refresh this. Yeah, it's now the thing. So whatever I was doing with run, only God knows, right? It's interesting to learn and fail live on the internet. You have no excuse and you can't run away from your failure. But it's good. People get to see that there's this thing that I see people who have been in the industry for long showing people that you have to be perfect and things are just working out well. Okay. But actually behind that video, it has been edited and mistakes have been removed, but it's good to see this. So yeah, we see the endpoint is now get items ID. If I do this, if I open this, expand it, you see item integer, say path parameter. But what I'm interested in mainly is this, okay? The tags. Okay. You see what it is, and if we go back to the code, okay, you see that it's a set and it's an empty set. Let me reduce this slightly so that you see. Okay. And also to make sure that everything is consistent. I'm going to change this back to put. Okay. Okay. And if I save, you see it's put. Okay. And if you say try it out, and I scroll and I say execute, you see, of course, item is required. Let's, if we put a random item like 30, scroll and then execute. See what we get. We get a 200. Okay. If I come here to tags, okay, and I put like, I say, what's the data type? First of all, it is a set of strings. I say A, okay. So I'll copy this, okay, and repeat it maybe 3 times. Then we have B, then Z or Z finally, and then execute. Okay. If I come back here, I think we get only unique values. We have only one A. Why? Because of the set that we have here. Or is it here? Okay. Pretty cool. And yeah, FastAPI will convert this for us. So one more thing, in case you were doubting what I was trying to do earlier, I converted this to a get, okay? And I was doing this, okay? Let me go back, okay? I was trying to hit enter from here like this, okay? So this is what I was expecting, saying body field required, okay? So yeah, now you get it. But I can go back to the documentation. So yeah, that's it. I hope I've not confused anybody by mistakes and going back and forth. So yeah, this is the set type. So we looked at the list. Okay, you can have a list of things or you can have a set of things. And remember, this is about the body, the request body. Okay, how do you create a request body? By creating a Pydantic based model. What does it mean to create a Pydantic based model? Simply creating a class that inherits from base model. So yeah, let's continue. I'll go down here and read this. The saying with this, even if you receive a request with duplicate data, it will be converted to a set of unique items. Like we have seen, if I change what they had, put, save, and then yeah, come here and where is it? Try it out. Put maybe like 3s and put here maybe 3, but these are supposed to be strings actually. I'll put bar like that, and I put boa and then execute. You'll see that down here we get only, you see we're getting bar. Why are we getting bar and bar? This is not expected, okay, because this is a set. Did they put in a space? Okay, supposed to be a set. So let me copy this. Okay, let me copy this, refresh. That's weird, guys. Did you see that? Click try it out. 20. Did I change something? So bar, execute. Okay. This is pretty new. Did I change anything? I didn't. So are we proving them wrong? Interesting. Look at this. They say with this, even if you receive a request with duplicate data, it will be converted to a set of unique items. And whenever you output that data, even if the source had duplicates, it will be output as a set of unique items, and it will be annotated and documented accordingly too. But that's not what we are seeing.